The annual Mitchell family barbecue had been a tradition for 23 years. My parents' backyard overlooked the river, their sprawling colonial house the perfect backdrop for what they called bringing everyone together. This year 38 people had shown up: aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, and notably 3 of my colleagues from Riverside Tech. I stood near the drink table in linen pants and a white blouse, watching my younger sister Amber work the crowd in a sundress that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She was 26, beautiful, and had just gotten engaged to Preston Whitmore. Old money, trust fund, the kind of guy who'd never worked a real job in his life. They were perfect for each other. I was 32, senior software engineer at Riverside Tech, and held 8% equity in the company. Stock options I'd earned over 7 years of 60-hour weeks, successful product launches, and 2 patents with my name on them. The company was preparing to go public next year. My shares would be worth approximately $2.4 million. My parents had been asking about those shares for 3 months now. I should have seen this coming. My father stepped onto the deck, beer in hand, and tapped his glass with a bottle opener. The conversations died down. 38 faces turned toward him expectantly. "Thanks for coming, everyone." Dad's voice boomed with practiced cheerfulness. "Before we eat, I want to share some exciting family news." My stomach clenched. I recognized that tone. The same one he'd used when he'd volunteered me to organize my cousin's wedding. When he'd promised I'd house sit for 3 weeks without asking me. "As most of you know, our Amber is getting married in the fall." He beamed at her. She smiled radiantly, Preston's arm around her waist. "We want to make sure they have a strong financial foundation. A real head start in life." Several people nodded approvingly. I set down my seltzer, my hands suddenly cold despite the summer heat. "So we're thrilled to announce that Meredith has generously agreed to transfer her company shares to Amber and Preston as a wedding gift." The backyard erupted. Applause. Gasps of delight. Someone whistled. My aunt actually dabbed at her eyes. I stood frozen, the blood draining from my face. 3 of my colleagues, Jake, Priya, and Marcus, stood near the grill, their expressions shifting from surprise to confusion as they looked at me. Amber squealed and rushed toward me, arms outstretched. "Oh my God, Mare. Thank you so much. This is so generous." I stepped back before she could hug me. "I didn't agree to that." The applause stuttered and died. Amber's arms dropped. The smile on her face flickered. "Meredith," my mother said sharply from the deck steps, "don't be difficult." "I'm not being difficult. I'm correcting a lie." I looked at my father. "When did I agree to give Amber my company shares?" His smile tightened. "We discussed this last month. You brought it up." I said no. "Multiple times." "That's not a discussion, Dad. That's you ignoring my answer." "Those shares are just sitting there," my mother interjected, her voice taking on that wheedling quality. "You're not using them. Amber and Preston could actually benefit from them. They're equity in the company I work for. They're not liquid assets I can just hand over like a birthday present." "But you could transfer them," Preston spoke up, his voice carrying that entitled drawl of someone who'd never been told no. "Legally, it's just paperwork." I turned to him slowly. "Preston, have you ever worked for a company with stock options?" His face flushed. "I don't see what that has to do with." "I'll take that as a no. Those shares have vesting schedules, transfer restrictions, and tax implications. I can't just transfer them even if I wanted to. Which I don't." "There are ways around those restrictions," my father said firmly. "My lawyer looked into it." The words hung in the air like a grenade. "Your lawyer looked into it? You had a lawyer research how to transfer my assets without asking me. We're your parents. We're looking out for the family's best interests. My shares aren't family assets. They're mine. I earned them." Amber's eyes welled with tears, the practiced kind that always worked on our parents. "Mare, how can you be so selfish? I'm your sister. Don't you want me to be happy?" "I want you to be happy with what you earn, not with what you take from me." "Take?" Her voice rose to a shriek. "You're offering it as a gift." "That's what Dad said." "Dad lied." My mother descended the deck steps, her face flushed red. "How dare you call your father a liar in front of everyone? What else would you call someone who makes public announcements about things I never agreed to?" I looked around the backyard. He told 38 people I was giving away $2.4 million worth of stock options. Did anyone think to verify that with me first? Silence. Several people looked uncomfortable. My colleague Priya had her phone out, probably texting the rest of our team. My father's expression hardened. Meredith, you will transfer those shares to your sister, or I will take legal action to force the transfer. The threat landed like a slap. Several people gasped. Jake's eyebrows shot up. Marcus pulled out his phone. I felt something inside me go perfectly crystalline calm. Legal action, I repeated slowly. To force me to transfer shares in a privately held tech company that I earned through 7 years of work. Shares that have specific contractual restrictions preventing non-employee ownership. Shares that are explicitly mine according to my employment contract and stock option agreement. Contracts can be challenged, my father said, his voice taking on that threatening quality. Especially when family interests are at stake. Really? I pulled out my phone. Let's get some clarity on that. What are you doing? My mother demanded that I scrolled through my contacts and pressed call. It rang 3 times. Meredith. Robert Caldwell's voice came through, warm and slightly confused. Everything all right? I thought you were at a family thing. I am Robert. I'm sorry to bother you on a Saturday, but I need the board chairman's perspective on something. I put the phone on speaker. My father just publicly announced that I'm transferring my Riverside Tech equity to my sister and her fiancé. He's now threatening legal action to force the transfer. I wanted to confirm the company's position on equity transfers to non-employees. Pause. When Robert spoke again, his voice had gone ice cold. Your father is there? At your family barbecue? Yes, along with 38 other people. Put me on with him. I walked to where my father stood and held out the phone. The board chairman wants to speak with you. My father's face had gone from red to gray. He took the phone reluctantly. Hello. I couldn't hear Robert's exact words, but I watched my father's expression shift from defiant to shocked to something approaching fear. I understand, but, my father tried to interject. Yes, I know, but, another pause. That's not. His mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Finally, he said quietly, he's coming here? Apparently the answer was yes, because he ended the call and handed back my phone with a shaking hand. What did he say? My mother demanded. He's coming here. Now. My father's voice was hollow. Why would the board chairman come to a family barbecue? Amber asked, her voice edged with panic. Because Dad just threatened to sue a senior engineer to force transfer of restricted company stock, I said calmly. Which is, according to my employment contract, grounds for immediate legal action from the company against anyone attempting such coercion. The color drained from my father's face completely. You're bluffing, Preston said, but his voice lacked conviction. I'm really not. I looked at my phone. Robert said he was 20 minutes away. He was already in the area having lunch. The next 18 minutes were excruciating. People tried to restart conversations, but everything felt forced. Several relatives made excuses and left. My aunt kept shooting me disappointed looks. Amber cried quietly while Preston tried to comfort her and simultaneously Googled something on his phone, probably researching whether they could actually sue me. My colleagues clustered near the fence, watching the spectacle with the kind of fascination you'd give a car crash. Jake approached me. Mare, is this for real? Your dad tried to take your equity. Apparently. That's insane. Those shares are about to be worth a fortune. I know. Does your family not understand how stock options work? My family understands that Amber wants money and they've never told her no. Priya joined us. I texted Sarah in legal. She said Robert was furious on the call. Like, we protect our people, furious. He's protective of the company. This kind of coercion attempt could set a bad precedent. It's not just that, Marcus added quietly. You filed 2 patents last year. You're leading the new security protocol development. You're valuable. The board isn't going to let some entitled family members threaten one of their key engineers. At exactly 19 minutes, a black Mercedes pulled up in front of the house. Robert Caldwell emerged in a crisp navy suit and tie, looking every inch the former Fortune 500 CEO he was. At 68 he was silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and had a reputation for being brilliant and utterly ruthless when necessary. He walked through the side gate into the backyard. Conversations died instantly. Meredith, he said, spotting me immediately. His expression softened slightly. I'm sorry you had to deal with this. It's okay, Robert. No, it's not. He turned to scan the crowd. Mr. Mitchell? I presume you're Meredith's father. My father stepped forward, trying to muster some dignity. Yes. And you are? Robert Caldwell, chairman of the board at Riverside Technologies. He didn't offer his hand. You threatened legal action to force your daughter to transfer restricted company stock. Is that correct? It's a family matter. It became a company matter when you threatened to sue to break contractual restrictions that protect our equity structure. Robert pulled out his phone and scrolled briefly. I have our legal team on standby. They've prepared a cease and desist order, a formal complaint to the State Bar Association regarding your lawyer's conduct, and a preliminary injunction preventing any attempted legal action regarding Meredith's shares. My father's mouth opened. No sound came out. Robert continued, his voice measured but carrying clearly across the silent backyard. Meredith Mitchell holds 8% equity in Riverside Technologies through stock options earned over 7 years of exemplary service. Those shares are restricted, non-transferable to non-employees, and protected by both her employment contract and company bylaws. Any attempt to force transfer would violate SEC regulations, company policy, and potentially constitute securities fraud. I didn't know, my father started. Your lawyer should have known. The fact that you consulted legal counsel about forcibly transferring restricted stock suggests this wasn't a spontaneous request but a planned attempt at coercion. Robert's expression hardened. That's concerning, Mr. Mitchell. Very concerning. My mother found her voice. We're her parents. We have a right. You have no rights to your adult daughter's employment compensation, Robert interrupted flatly. None. And the public nature of your demand, he gestured around the backyard, in front of her colleagues no less, constitutes workplace harassment and attempted intimidation. Jake, Priya, and Marcus nodded in agreement. Jake actually had his phone up, recording. Mr. Caldwell, Preston stepped forward using his trust fund voice. I think there's been a misunderstanding. This is a family matter about appropriate wealth distribution. Who are you? Robert's tone could have frozen water. Preston Whitmore III. I'm engaged to Meredith's sister. Whitmore. Robert's eyes narrowed. Any relation to Preston Whitmore Jr., formerly of Whitmore Capital? Preston's confidence faltered. He's my father, yes. The same Preston Whitmore Jr. who was barred from trading by the SEC in 2019 for insider trading violations? Preston's face went white. Several people gasped. Amber looked like she might be sick. That's not. He was cleared of the major charges. He accepted a settlement and lifetime trading ban. Robert turned to my father. So to be clear, you're attempting to force your daughter to transfer millions in restricted stock to your other daughter, who's marrying into a family with a documented history of securities violations. Do you understand how that looks? The silence was absolute. My father couldn't meet Robert's eyes. I was just trying to help Amber. By stealing from Meredith? Robert's voice cut like a knife. That's not help, Mr. Mitchell. That's theft. Attempted theft, specifically, which is still a crime. He pulled a document from his jacket pocket. This is a formal cease and desist from Riverside Technologies. You, your lawyer, and any associates are prohibited from attempting to access, transfer, or claim any interest in Meredith's company shares. Violation will result in immediate legal action, including but not limited to restraining orders and civil suits for damages. He handed it to my father, who took it with trembling hands. Additionally, Robert continued, I'm recommending to the board that we implement a protection protocol for Meredith and any other employees who might face similar family coercion. Security will be notified. Any attempts to contact her through company channels about this matter will be treated as harassment. That's excessive, my mother started. No, Mrs. Mitchell, what's excessive is publicly demanding your daughter surrender $2.4 million in earned compensation and then threatening to sue her when she refuses. Robert's voice never rose, but it carried complete authority. That's not family. That's financial abuse. Amber was sobbing now. Preston looked like he wanted to disappear. My father stared at the ground. Robert turned to me. Meredith, do you feel safe here? The question surprised me. Yes. Physically, yes. But emotionally? I looked at my parents. At Amber clutching Preston. At the relatives who'd applauded when Dad announced the gift, and were now avoiding eye contact. No, I said quietly. Not really. Robert nodded. Would you like to leave? I can give you a ride. I drove myself. I know. But you shouldn't have to face more pressure alone. I'll have someone pick up your car later if you'd like. The kindness in his voice nearly broke me. Thank you. I grabbed my purse from the patio table. Jake, Priya, and Marcus materialized beside me. We'll follow you, Jake said. Make sure you get home okay. You don't have to. We want to, Priya said firmly. You're our friend Mare. And what they tried to do was seriously messed up. We walked toward the gate. As I passed my father, I stopped. Dad, if you just asked, if you treated me like an adult, like a person instead of a resource, maybe we could have figured out a way to help Amber that didn't involve stealing from me. But you didn't ask. You announced. You demanded. You threatened. I looked at him until he met my eyes. That's why you're getting nothing. We left through the side gate. Behind us, I heard Amber wail. This is all your fault. I didn't know if she meant me or our parents. Robert drove me home in his Mercedes while my colleagues followed. We didn't talk much. He asked if I was okay. I said I would be. The company values you, he said as we pulled up to my apartment. Not just your work, you as a person. What happened today was unacceptable. If you need time off, counseling support, anything, it's yours. Thank you, Robert. And Meredith? When we go public next year and those shares vest. He smiled slightly. Make sure you celebrate. You earned every cent. My colleagues came up to my apartment. We ordered pizza, drank wine, and didn't talk about my family. Just work stuff. Friend stuff. Normal stuff. Around midnight, my phone started buzzing. Texts from blocked numbers. My parents probably. Then voicemails. Then emails. I blocked everything and powered down my phone. You okay? Priya asked. Yeah, I said. And surprisingly, I meant it. I really am. Because for the first time in my life, I'd stood up to them. Not alone, but with people who actually valued me. That felt like winning.